there everyone, thank you so much for joining me. Today I'm going to show you how to do an easy everyday makeup using only 7 products and minimal steps. The most important thing when you're doing a quick on-the-go makeup is to pick products that you can use for multiple things. So getting the most bang for your buck and product. So the first thing that we're going to start with is brightening and concealing. So we are going to go to my favorite Becca concealer, the Brightening Under Eye Corrector, and I'm just going to go in and use my finger and dab a little bit on the inner of my eye. So most people have some darkness under their eyes. It's either hereditary or you're tired or whatnot, and sometimes you need a couple different correctors. This one tends to brighten because it has a little bit of a peach undertone pretty instantly. So if you can find one that has a warmer, like pinkier undertone or peach, that will tend to do the trick a bit faster without having to use a couple concealers. And then you want to just blend that out so that you don't just have it like just bright under your eye. So you can dab it kind of in a T. You can take a little and do it if you've got any other redness anywhere else. Got a little bit on my nose. A lot of people generally get a little bit on their cheeks, but I'm using my finger and it's just going to be a very sheer application. Now this step could be a tinted moisturizer. So if you're using like a BB cream, CC cream, tinted moisturizer, this step would do the same, going in and just brightening and evening out your skin. I'm also going to dab a little bit onto my eyelids because everybody gets a little bit of darkness there. And if you're being minimal, you want to brighten as much as you can and distract away from darkness. So I'm just going in with my finger and doing a sheer layer across my whole lid. There we go. Hours more of sleep. Okay. All right, so the next step, we're gonna go in and set that. Now because it's a cream, if I were to go in with any shadows or bronzers or blush or anything with color right now, it would grab to the cream product and just go blotchy, and then you would try to buff it out. So the best thing to do is to set it. So here I am using the Elate, the wonderful Elate Glowing Loose Powder with my multi-use brush. So I'm just gonna go in there, get enough on the product, and just go in and start buffing and adding a little bit of coverage and setting that cream product. Like so. You can do a little bit down your neck, wherever you're going to be layering product afterwards, really. And always stipple kind of around your eyes. You can drag it inwards and outwards. That way you kind of set it into any of the fine lines. But because it's a light mineral powder, it's not going to accentuate lines. So it's not heavy, it's very light. But in the areas where you smile and any kind of creasing, keep your product minimal there. Okay, so we've set everything, and then we're going to keep that brush separate. So now we're going to go in and actually add a little bit of color to my skin. So I'm going to use this Marc Tan-tastic bronzer that I'm loving. It's just like butter on my skin, and I'm using the MAC 170 brush. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to do a little bit of contouring and adding a little bit of definition, because once I've evened out my skin with the powder, I am quite fair, so adding a little bit of color back into my face is ideal. And when you're placing this, you're placing and using that smaller part of the brush, and we're just kind of carving it into like that hollow space that's underneath your cheekbone. And you're starting kind of at your hairline, and you're just like, well, working it in kind of like that. And you can see from one side to the other that it's just starting to like contour that area in and make it look a little bit narrower. You can go in and do a little bit along your jawline and down your neck. Like so. And if you screw up, the great thing is that you have that powder brush that you were just using that loose powder on, and you can use that to soften and blend. So just kind of in that hairline. You could also use this bronzer as your blush. Like if you wanted to bring it a little bit more onto your cheeks because it's got a bit of a warmer tone, you could just use this one product. And I'm gonna dab a little bit on my forehead just to get a little bit of contour up there. Touch on my nose, like a little sun-kissed. And now with that same product, what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually use it to contour my eyes a little bit. So now with a fluffier brush, now we've done a little bit of that powder, that first loose powder over top of my lid. So make sure you've done that. So go in and just set that concealer. And now we're gonna go in with the Elate blend brush and we're gonna use that bronzer. So use that bronzer right there as your shadow. So the great thing about this bronzer is that it's not too warm, it's not too pink based. So when we go in, it's gonna give some definition, but it's gonna look just natural. Like I've got like a little bit of a tan and kind of more of like a bronzy kind of look, like that. So just using some soft strokes, kind of starting at the lash line and blending up like that. And then you can use the side of the brush to soften. And then we're gonna do the other side. So just lifting and accentuating that eye. Depending on your eye shape too, sometimes people like to do this across the lower lash line and then just fade it up, kind of like a sunset. That works too, but I like to keep my center light to brighten. And just gives me a little bit more lift. There we go. I'm also gonna pinch the brush, put a little bit of product on there, and pinch it and go underneath and add a little bit of definition. There we go. Great. So now we've done a little bit of contouring on my cheekbones and on my eyes. Now what we're gonna do is, sorry, a little hair fluff there. We are going to do brows next. So brows, Anastasia Beverly Hills, the Brow Wiz in blonde. We are gonna go in and just define some brows. So if you are creating hairs, like if you're missing some or you need to like extend your brows or to the inside, they've been over plucked, you went a little crazy in the 90s, or you just are missing hair, then you need a pencil. As a pencil is going to create that hair texture look, whereas a powder will just look like powder. Where you're extending it, it'll just start to look kind of funny. So use a pencil, or you can use a gel to kind of change the hair color of your brows. You can use a wax to kind of fill them in, or a shadow. But definitely pay some attention to your brows. They frame your eyes, and it's just makes a huge difference. Will always make your eyes look younger with having a defined brow. You know, you wouldn't buy a beautiful painting and not frame it, right? So same thing. And your brows just need to be sisters. Sisters that get along. So you want them to try to look as similar as possible. And then you can always go in, there we go, and just take the comb. So I love that this one has a little comb on the outside. So just take that and then just comb your brows up. Just for a nice, quick, natural brow. There we go, little definition. Perfect. So brows, check. Now what are we gonna do? Let's do, I wanna brighten a little bit more. That concealer did a nice job of brightening, but I'm gonna take this highlighter. So this is the RMS Beauty Living Luminizer. So it's got a nice pearly kind of finish to it. And I'm gonna add a little bit more brightening to my inner eye, the top of my cheekbone, and maybe my brow bone. So I'm just gonna dab it on with my finger and just do. Now because it's a cream, again, don't go crazy with it, because if you apply too much cream, it will start to kind of crease on your lid or wherever you're applying it. So I'm just gonna dab a little bit and buff it out to my center of my lid there. There we go. Let's see. Yeah, but that brightening on that inner is really important. So making sure that you bring a light color to that inside of your eye will always make you look more awake. I'm also going to dab a little bit of this just on top of my cheekbone. Just give a nice glow to the skin. Like that. And just kind of stippling with your finger tends to work the best. I'm going to add a little bit to the top of my lip right there. Just makes it look a little fuller. And there we go. Okay, so that is that step. Now we're going to add a little bit of color to my cheeks. So this is one of my favorite tricks. So I'm just taking this Lise Watier lipstick that I have in this kind of corally color, and we're going to actually use this on cheeks and lip. So any cream lipstick, sorry, you can apply this trick to. So all we're going to do is we're going to take this lipstick and apply it right onto my blush brush, like that. So try to, like, instead of doing it this way, actually apply it this way so that you can see what you're doing. So now what we're going to do is I'm just going to take a little bit off on my hand, because there is quite a bit of product on there and we don't want to over blush. So I'm just going to dab a bit off, and then I'm going to go in and start on the top of my apple. So when you smile, it's that kind of area right there. You don't want to go too low, because then when you relax your face, it sinks down. So we're just going to kind of start on the top there. And using a brush is going to be way more effective and look more airbrushed than doing your fingers. The heat of your fingers is just going to streak, and then it's also going to take off a bit of the product that we've already worked in there. Concealer, whatnot, powder. So we're just going to do this. So again, another 2-in-1 product. You can use your loose powder that we did for shadow, and for all of your face, you can use your bronzer as cheek and face color, but also eyeshadow. And then this, the lipstick, you can use as blush. So really finding products that you can double as others is key to a quick look. And then I'm also going to dab a little bit of this just on my lips for a bit of color. I'm just going to stain them like so. There we go. And last but not least, let's put some mascara on and find those eyelashes. So I've talked before about when you're picking a mascara. So you want to pick one, basically how the brush looks is how your lashes are going to look. So if you pick a spiky brush with tons of product, that's how your lashes are going to look. If you've got really full feathery lashes, then pick a brush that has lots of individual little bristles and less product on the wand. For me, give me more. I have kind of thinner lashes, so I'm gonna use this thicker mascara that they have unfortunately discontinued from MAC, but they have 2 left, so I'm gonna use it while I can. I find mascara very individual, and one that works for me isn't necessarily gonna work for you, but make sure if you try one and you don't like it, you can return it. So, you know, a company's gonna be much happier if you love their product rather than being mad that you spent money on it and it didn't work. So take it back and try a different one until you find one, because your mascara is something that you buy all the time and it's really important. So be picky and find one that you love. So I'm just doing a little bit underneath and then using my finger to just softly take a little bit of product off. Okay, there we have it. So got a little bit of color on my cheeks, some brightness in my eyes, a little bit of definition. It's all about balance. So have a wonderful day and share with me any questions and comments you have. Take care. Bye-bye.